Hi, my name is Marcy Westerling, and I'm a longtime community organizer living in the state of Oregon, and also living in the state of terminal diagnosis with cancer. And recently that's gotten me to want to connect internationally with other people who are living in that crazy place of kind of having your pink slip from the world and yet wanting to still enjoy every moment of every day. For the last 3 decades, I've had a wonderful, charmed life running around the state of Oregon, which is a very large state with many rural counties, working with community members to think through the headlines of the day and the dicey conversations that were heating up in their communities, and trying to create much more unity around what we don't understand and don't agree on. So progressive community organizing with the Rural Organizing Project. And my 50th year, I was excited to be taking that project nationally, but then I found out that I wasn't quite as healthy as I thought, and I actually had metastasized ovarian cancer that had spread to my lungs. So I had a lot of cancer in me, and that meant that I had a very dire diagnosis and needed to adjust to not being alive in a couple of years. And so I switched my focus. I took my same community organizing skills, but instead wanted to look at who else was struggling with knowing that they weren't going to die eventually, but actually they were terminally ill and would probably die in the next couple of years, and created a blog to move forward that conversation internationally.
July 8, 2013. Who are we? When we get the cancer diagnosis, cancer and the urge to survive dominate our lives. Depending on the stage of diagnosis, it happens at different levels. Stage 1 and 2 folks seem to learn to tiptoe through their normal lives with cancer carried along as a silent companion slipped into pockets of existing pants, jackets, and bags. Stage 3 and 4 folks, our cancer seems to barely fit in an oversized tote bag, making our old scramble through life clearly marred with the weight. We put it down, but there it sits, waiting for us to pick it back up because, well, it's our burden to carry. It is heavy. It is awkward. It often makes it into a room before we do, like a 9-month pregnant woman's belly, except we arrive to silence and discomfort.
Many people, when they get a catastrophic illness happening in their household, they turn to some of the public blogs that have been created, like Caring Bridge or Helping Hands, as a way to just let people know that care about that person what's going on. And so Friends set that up for me. And actually for the first year or two, it was a great way to every week or two or once a month give a little update of, well, actually I'm still alive and this is what I'm doing now to try and contain my cancer. But at a certain point, things weren't going so well with my treatment. In fact, I was called a treatment failure, rather harsh. And at that point, I got into a clinical trial in Philadelphia, which is across the country, so pretty darn far away. And it's a pretty impressive trial that it's phase 1, so it hasn't progressed very far. And I knew that if I was going to do this trial, it made sense to share the information, share the experience. So not just what my relatives and my dearest friends could find, but actually something that someone at a computer in India or in Indiana, who was also dealing with a dire disease prognosis, could find and could watch the steps of, how did I get in? It was hard. It took 20 months to qualify for the trial. How did I afford it? What were my emotional realities of being so far from home and getting kind of hard to manage treatments, then flying cross country back home. So I wanted to capture that in a way that made it hopefully doable for more people to get into clinical trials that might speed up the pace of research and extend lives and yeah, give people more of a connection to health possibilities.
November 3rd, 2013. October's trek to Philly was hard, as I feared it might be. My initial treatment in this trial back in early June 2013 had been my most challenging, and now I was returning after a 55-day break. My body might just resist fresh toxins being introduced with a loud hell no. I am now in the maintenance phase. I get the same chemo cocktail at the same dose, followed a day later by the same vaccines, but now on a 4-week schedule versus every 3 weeks. This sequence happens for 3 months, and then I get tested to ensure there is no disease progression. I hope to do this maintenance phase for at least the 9 months for which we have the needed materials, but I also hope the next 8 months are easier.
It was wonderful for me to be able to stay in touch with her and to see how she was approaching this cancer, because I have lymphoma, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is in remission now. But so it was helpful for me to see how she approached that and to hear her, to read her writings about it, because she's so descriptive of her experience, and she's so she doesn't shy away from the fact that she's dying. I mean, the title of her blog is "Livingly Dying," and that's the one thing that, you know, we people who have cancer are much more in tune with, is dying and death in a culture that denies it. So, you know, having somebody who's going through that experience, who can express herself as well as Marcy does, is such a gift, I think, to those people. And it's so typical Marcy to turn everything into her life, turn it into something that helps other people. That's just who she is. For the 25 plus years that I've known her, that's what she's done.
My hope is to leave a legacy of changing taking your most immediate reality. Sometimes it'll be great, sometimes it'll be challenging, and accepting it, working with it, and organizing to support others who have that same reality to do better.
April 21, 2013. I stand on a particular type of death row. I have been sentenced, but some vague appeal process offers me the possibility of being an outlier, one of the few who survive for over a decade despite the dire odds. No one knows why. Unlike an actual death row inmate who is confined in every aspect of living, I have freedom of movement, tethered mainly by treatment timelines, financial realities, and other choices. What I am denied is the freedom to assume that I will be alive 3 months from now. What started as an insurmountable burden, I am learning to accommodate. I move from solitary confinement to a shared cell, and then to a mere ankle bracelet with frequent calls from my parole officer. It is inconvenient, but not intolerable.
As I started up a blog, I thought, you know, I want to share this part of the journey too, the part where I walk outside and everything I see, I experience so much more deeply, you know, at the same time as your taste buds are ripped from you. The way I can feel this bark and this moss is highly magnified, because I don't know if I'll see it a year from now. And I'm very aware of that. That's not a philosophical concept. It's like, wow, I have no idea if I'll see another summer. And so that's beautiful, right? but it's, so I wanted to capture the beauty of being so in the moment, literally, but I also wanted to capture the pain and the terror and the coming to grips with, I don't sit here today as someone who fears death. Instead, I have sadness about exiting earlier than I planned, but I've worked my way through that terror, and I wanted to, by exposing it, perhaps give other people more permission to feel that and to share it with their loved ones.